Grüezi zusammen. Finally, welcome to a new ranking video. With the last video I gathered a lot of views, so I thought why not making another one. Instead, with the 10 strongest tanks still alive, the 20 strongest monsters of all time. So I will also rank characters which are technically not tanks. But there are some exceptions. We'll at first start with the characters that are not on the list, not because they are weak, just because they are difficult to rank. For example, Gustav. Yeah, Gustav is very strong, but like other artilleries, it's a pretty difficult to rank him because even MS1 could defeat him if MS1 would get too close. Also, I didn't rank any airplanes or bombers because I know that tanks like Leviathan or other that have magic can deal against planes, but for the other monsters on that list it would be unfair. And before the video starts, you don't have to, but I actually have my own merch. Somehow Google and YouTube don't let me connect my Shopify with my YouTube. There's bugging something, so if you want to support me or you're searching for a new mug or t-shirt, you can click on the first link in the description and buy something. That would be very nice. But now let's start with the video. Number 20, IS-44. I could really imagine that you're so surprised that the list begins with IS-44, but the other monsters on that list are just stronger than him. What can I point out talking about him? So we saw in the battle in front of Moscow that IS-44 is nearly on the same level as Karl-44, who is already one of the strongest tanks, but I think he's slightly weaker. Actually, there isn't so much more to say. He has plenty of guns, a very strong main gun. With his guns he is also able to deflect or destroy the shots from artilleries like Dora. He has also very strong armor, so you could see that Leviathan had a hard time to deal with him. Yeah, so why is he below Karl-44? Just because I think Karl-44 is a bit stronger than him. So yeah, but only the fact that out of these hundreds of monsters that exist in Gerand's universe, that he is on that list shows that he's pretty strong, you know. Number 19, KV-54. So I don't know if that's a hot take, so either having him above IS-44 or having him that low on that list. So what I kinda admit is that KV-54 is just a really rampage battle machine. Every time he's on screen and there isn't another monster to stop him, he just kills dozens of tanks in seconds. The training that Leviathan gave them to control their fear and to actually aim at the opponents made him much stronger than before his demonization or before Dora killed him off. Of course, he was struggling against that one plane of the fallen angels, but like I said at the beginning, planes are like a separate category. So besides that, what KV-54 really makes that menacing is his fire rate and his armor, because the time where he got introduced, we could see that Dr. LTG made his armor pretty strong, and only the fact that there are like 40 different tank heads on top of this body just makes him a really serious threat every time he's on screen. There are some tanks that could deal very well with him, for example Caziel. I already can spoil it that Caziel won't be on that list, because simply I think the other tanks are stronger, but Caziel probably would have been at place 21 or something like that. So yeah, I would say a well-deserved 19th place. Maybe when I'm going to show the other tanks you will understand why KV-54 is that low. Number 18, Titan Ratte. Sorry that I'm laughing, but I don't know if this will probably be the most disliked video of the channel, but I at least try to justify his placement. So clearly Titan Ratte has some cannons, turrets, which are on a new generation than the turrets from IS-44 or KV-54. And to compare that with that one fight, which Titan Ratte had against Carl 44, we could see that they're pretty close in sense of pure strength. But I still think that Titan Ratte is above KV 54 and IS 44 because I imagine that Carl 44 would really easily deal with the two other 44s or 54s. So only the fact that Titan Ratte was actually so close to defeating him, I will place him at that number. So what else is there to point out? He has some missiles. Some said that he actually has one pair of missiles at his back. I thought he only has one, and I still think he only has one, but I'm not quite sure. But this wouldn't make such a big difference. What's for sure is that not much monsters are able to penetrate his armor. Of course Carl 44 because of his cannon, but other tanks must shoot way longer on his front to penetrate it. So I would say that are some good reasons to put him at least above IS-44 and KV-54. To be honest, every time I would get a penny by saying 44 or 54, I already would be richer than Elon Musk. Number 17. Finally, Carl 44. I compared the other three a lot with him, because Carl 44 is just a beast. From the point on where he was introduced, he was able to deal with 3 monsters. Like the other monsters, every time he's on screen, you either need a very big tank army, or planes, or many monsters to deal with him. Because his purpose is to literally be a big fortress on tank tracks. That's why the most big monsters are also called Landkreuzer. For example, Ratte can also be called Landkreuzer at 1500, I think. And Matilda, FV and Ratte had a really hard time against him at the D-Day. I think if they hadn't been that lucky by just throwing Carl 44 to the side, I think Carl 44 would have soloed all of them 3. But sadly we didn't get fights with him because IS-44 then just corrupted his body. Something that I really haven't realized is that Carl 44 hasn't lost a single fight. Yes, sadly that fight against KV-44 got interrupted by KV-6. The only fight that Carl 44 clearly lost was that one fight at the D-Day, and he only lost that because he got pretty unlucky and didn't look out for that submarine tank. Number 16, the iconic KV-44. Of course I'm talking about his newest version. In my view, KV-44 is clearly stronger than Carl 44 and the others under him at this list, because he has so much experience. He has his Berserker mode, which he can use if he's really in trouble or has to seek for a last option. Now his body is also on the newest generation, very modernized. He has now much missiles against planes or just other tanks, and also that artillery that he has now on his back can probably really annoy other enemies. Talking about in general about the 44 tanks, one of their weaknesses, if you can say if it's seriously a weakness, is they are engineered or designed to destroy tanks from all corners or angles. If they are fighting against another monster 1v1, like half of the turrets aren't even able to hit the opponent. So by having an artillery at the back, at least KV-44 has another way to hit his opponent with his weapons he has on the back. Yes, a well-deserved 16th place. Number 15, Project X. Yeah, now I said at the beginning that I haven't ranked KV6 because we haven't seen much of him. Also, we haven't seen much of Project X, but at least we got a gladiator fight and a what if episode. And only by his size and how the Germans were glazing him, we can assume that he's at least stronger than Carl 44 and probably also stronger than KV-44. I know it's only an assumption, but also looking at his armor, even Ratte wasn't able to do a scratch to his armor, and probably his main gun deals way more damage than Carl 44's main gun. So that would be the reasons to put him at that place. Number 14, Dora, or Demonic Dora. Yeah, she's the first artillery on that list. I think Dora is pretty underrated in the tank community, at least nearly no one talks about her. Yes, she's a character that died a long time ago, but for the time where he was alive, he was one of the most overpowered characters, which hadn't even magic like Leviathan. She killed Mendeleev with one shot. With one shot, he just one-hit the almighty Mendeleev. And also she destroyed a whole Russian city just with one shot. As I could imagine that in these scenes, maybe the plot upgraded her a bit to make these scenes more dramatic. But I still think that placing her on the 14th place is very justified. What makes her really dangerous is her fire rate. For an artillery, she is able to shoot so many times. Yes, she has to reload, so like half a minute, but half a minute for a shot that can one-hit Mendeleev or probably destroy KV-44 in like 3 shots. That's just incredible. And also, she, to say that more dramatically, she obliterated the tanks of the Russian Empire. They had no chance. Also, she was able to nearly kill Leviathan with just one shot. So Dora is very OP. So now you're surely asking, then why is she so low if it seems that there is a huge spike in sense of power between her and Project X? And I think her relative weak armor drags her a bit down, and also the fact that she still has only one cannon. I know that on the list it's mostly about the pure strength and not who counters who, because KV-44 would have a much easier time against her compared with Project X, who probably couldn't defend even one shell. But like I said, her armor is still not the strongest. She also only has one cannon, so there are other monsters on that list that can deal with her, in my opinion. Number 13, Bride... how is it called? I have to look it up. Okay, it seems like that people can't help me, so I will just call him Bride Train. I think his design is based on that Breitspurbahn that Austrian painter in the Second World War wanted to build. So for some of you he maybe appears a bit randomly on that list, but he's also a monster like the others. And I also think he could deal with the other tanks on that list. So what makes him so unbelievably strong to outpower Karl 44, Dora, Project X? And I say he does that, or it does that, because at first he has many cannons. By listening to the shooting sound of the cannons, we could estimate that they have more or less the same strength as the main gun of KV-44 or Goose Fortress or something like that. And multiplying that by like 40, that's just really menacing. Also, I won't count all the regular German tanks, because they don't really count to him. We are only looking at the train on itself, without all the people. So of course, luckily the train has many air defenses. There's also a train carriage that can completely transform into his own monster, who is like more or less the same size as a 44 monster. Of course, if a tank gets too close to him, the train would have a hard time, but also at first the tank has to get that close, and also if all the cannons, he probably could still hit that tank. So I would say a pretty justified 13th place. Number 12, another monster that isn't a tank, Liar Pleurodon. You know what, every time that I'm saying his name, I'm editing in a Deeple.
Liar Pleurodon.
As you already could have guessed, Liar Pleurodon is a whole battleship. Aside from the fact that he's a battleship, he has many turrets that can pretty much defend all parts of his body. He could give Leviathan in that body of his one henchman had to take some serious hits. And yeah, to be honest, I don't have other points. He also has a flame breath, but the flame breath is only effective if the opponent is directly in front of him, which isn't very often the case, but still, just because he's a battleship, I would place him at this place. Number 11, Da Vinci. We have already reached the first tank with powers from his might. So just because of the fact that he has the powers of his might, he could probably overpower all the other tanks already mentioned on that list. But what makes him weaker than other tanks with powers? So even though his might, the big god, gave him these powers, his main body, his mortal form, is still must be very, very weak. I mean, the character Da Vinci is also based on the world's first tank concept, and I mean, he's made out of wood, or his cannons are probably as weak as hell. So I think the powers probably give him enough of a boost to outpower the other tanks I have mentioned, but still it wouldn't be enough to be higher on that list, as simple as that. But I mean, for a tank that is more than 500 years old, it's pretty high on that list. Number 10, Mephistopheles. A very charismatic character and also tragic one in my view. Maybe I should do one day a video about him, I don't know. But in this video we're only talking about his strength. Also, I have to clarify that I'm only talking about his power boosted version, because he has a backstory where he sold his soul to his might to get these powers. Before that he was way weaker, but that one fight against Leviathan, just that fight alone showed that Mephistopheles is on a relative similar level than Leviathan. He has that ability to collect or drag tank parts to him and to repair him or even upgrade himself, like we saw that one episode. And he also survived a lot. Like the Italian literally lasered through his head, but he survived that. But back to that fight against Leviathan. Leviathan was struggling a lot. And yes, Mephistopheles was using some mind games, for example the corpse of Dora, and the fact that Leviathan probably got a bit rusty. And besides the ability to repair himself, he also can summon spikes from the ground and fly and make a shield, so he has pretty much the same powers as Leviathan, but probably with the difference that Leviathan is just more powerful, because he's one of the original tanks who gathered that power. And also he has way more experience with the power. So good job, Mephistopheles. Even though now you are a very insignificant Japanese tank, you were really on the top of Gerand's power scaling. Number 9, Belphegor. I know we have only seen one fight with him, where he pretty much lost by a lot, but keep in mind that we saw a version of him where he already was very weak, as he also said that his powers were vanishing. So by considering that he probably was way stronger than the version we saw him, I think he would pretty surely outpower at least Mephistopheles. Also in that one scene we could see how he threw the whole ceiling on top of Leviathan, so this shows that even in such a weak condition he still has enough strength to do something like that. And also, judging his power by his design, he looks very similar to Leviathan, so if maybe the fallen angels wouldn't have lost the war, maybe he could really deal against Leviathan in his prime time. So in my view, a well-deserved 9th place. Number 8, and probably something that you also forgot about. I know it's crazy to rank a tank that we only have seen in one episode or in 2 episodes, but these episodes were enough to notice his pure potential. So at first, he was fighting against Mephistopheles, but not regular form of Mephistopheles, against, I would say, Dora boosted Mephistopheles. Like through all that fight, from the beginning to the end, Pike was barely damaged. Also, he could deflect a whole Dora shot with his front like nothing, and he was a complete robust monster in that fight. It's kinda sad that this was the only time that we saw God boosted Pike, because it would have been really interesting to see him in other fights. However, Also, he one-shot the brother of KV6. Yes, the brother was already very damaged, but look at his corpse. Like, the whole front was just obliterated. So yeah, a big weakness of God Boosted Pike is that he has no power, so probably also Mephistopheles or Da Vinci or Belphegor could trick him with some portals or something like that. But still, to really kill Pike, it would take way more than fooling him with portals. Maybe God Boosted Pike is too low on that list, that's also possible, but I'm also a bit afraid to overestimate him, only because the whole tank community likes him and tends to overestimate his not God boosted version. Number 7. Finally we reached the villain, or kind of villain, of this series. I know I ranked him the last time way lower on the list because I didn't consider some other points, like when he's nearly dying, he gets always a very huge power boost. Also, he can fly and just tore Mephistopheles apart just with his will. So Leviathan has much potential. So I think you would probably agree that he's stronger than Belphegor, Da Vinci, and tanks like that. Why is he stronger than God Boosted Pike? That's actually a good question, because I think that these two tanks are very close. Because besides Leviathan his powers, his main body couldn't withstand the shells of God Boosted Pike, and in general his armor isn't the strongest that which we have in this series. But I still just think that I would assume that Leviathan is slightly stronger than God Boosted Pike, but it's also possible that it's the other way around. So yeah, I think I don't have to glaze the Leviathan more. Let's move on. Number 6, the Guardian. We nearly have reached the top 5, but the Guardian couldn't make it into the top 5. Like in the other video that I have already made, my explanation why he is stronger than Leviathan is, on the one hand, that he's literally the Iron Guardian of that world in between the worlds, or that his might dimension I would say. He also has magic and powers. All the tanks that already have fought against him couldn't really do much damage. He could deal with KV-44 and Leviathan at the same time. Yes, these were at that time weaker versions, but still they barely could deal damage. And also he soloed KV6 and KSeal in seconds. Number 5, Electrogoose. It's quite interesting to see a more or less regular tank that high on the list, because we talked about so many ancient tanks, and now having a normal engineered tank that high sounds a bit odd. But at first I will start glazing him. So at first, let's watch a scene together, a scene where we see a much weaker version of Electrogoose.
Мне кажется, это плохая идея.
Огонь! Бежим! Все отступаем! Он теперь на миллионы вольт заряжен!
And again, consider the fact that this was a much weaker version. So it seems that Electrogoose is like literally indestructible. Yes, to charge him up, and whole city must donate all its energy, but also Electrogoose can gain electricity just by absorbing tank shots. A hard counter against him is the material rubber. I still haven't begun my PhD in mechanical engineering, but I would just believe Gerand that rubber is a hard counter. But even with that rubber, FV and Matilda had a bit hard time. Yes, they could deal some serious shots against Electrogoose, but still they haven't won that fight, and also the new Electrogoose is probably way stronger. And even the big Vostok nearly was defeated. But we also could see probably the main weakness. Electrogoose got defeated 2 times by charging him up. With the time he got upgraded a lot, and we already have that saw that scene. So what probably could defeat him is an atomic bomb, but I mean, we are talking about an atomic bomb. I think the other tanks on the list also wouldn't survive one. So I'm pretty sure that it isn't a hot take that having Electric Goose that high on that list. Number 4, and to be honest, I forgot his name. Wait, I have to think about. Oh yes, my avatar, Vostok. I mean, we all saw what Vostok already did. He can destroy whole fortresses. He could barely defeat Electric Goose, yes, but he still defeated Electric Goose. He's pretty much an AI, so probably also smarter than the most tanks on that list. His shield is very OP. His main weakness could be that his back hasn't that shield, but his turret can turn 360 degrees, and all his cannons that he have do severe damage. So to not talk that much longer, well deserved place, 4th place. And now number 3, the first place on the podium, Beelzebub. Also a tank who's probably way stronger than the other tanks on that list. In my view, Electric Goose and Vostok would have a realistic chance against him, but keep in mind that Beelzebub could repair himself after being shot by Gustav. We still don't know if Beelzebub has magic, probably not, but it takes very much firepower to even scratch his armor. Every time he's on screen, you shouldn't ask how we can defeat him, you should ask, can we even defeat him? He destroys literally every tank that we have seen in the series, so there is really no match against Beelzebub. A well-deserved 3rd place. 2nd place, Herobrine. Yes, I said I would rank 20 strongest monsters, and Herobrine is technically also a monster or creature at least. Why is he so strong? I mean, he's literally more like a soul or a spirit which can go into tanks if the tanks allow him. He only got defeated because of being too dumb or not knowing KV-44 too much. If KV-44 hadn't deleted him in his own mind, maybe Herobrine would have turned the whole war around only with his powers. So I think no other monster on that list could deal with him, except the 1st place. Now we come to the 1st place, his might. And there isn't also much to say, except that his might also seems to be a god or a spirit or something that hasn't a physical form. His might is the one that gave the powerful magic powers to all the tanks that are very high on that list. We still don't know how his might can be defeated or if he even can get defeated. I still think that his might is stronger than Herobrine, just because I think we never have seen them fight against each other, and it's possible that Herobrine is stronger than his might, but also Herobrine could get deleted in KV-44's mind that easily. So I think this wouldn't be possible with his might. I don't mean that his might, I'm not talking about deleting his might in the mind of a tank. I mean destroying or killing the god itself or that spirit. So I would think no one has a chance against his might, at least the monsters that we already know. That's the ranking. Again, thank you so much for all the support. Our community is getting so much subs. I know that in the community tab I'm yapping many times about projects that I want to do and stuff like that, but like I'm not really able to work each day 20 hours. I would really like to be able to do that, but I'm very often pretty sleepy, so I'm sorry that I can upload the videos as fast as you probably want. And also something very important, if you have a friend and that is very good in animating, modeling or compositing scenes, or you are one of them and you are interested in helping me creating the first 3D tank series on YouTube, and maybe also revolutionizing the whole animation bubble on YouTube, not only tank series, but also in general animated series on YouTube, please DM me on Instagram. You will get a good chunk of the video's earnings, and I would greet you in every video you work with me. Yes, so if you are somebody that would like to work with me, or you know somebody, please tell me, because that would help me a lot. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I try to make more tutorial videos or modeling videos, but I won't stop with the essay videos, but I want to bit experiment with stuff, not only do tanks. And like always, thank you very much for supporting this channel. It gives me much strength, and I don't talk a lot about my private life, but I just want to let you know that one of my characteristics is that I have a pretty low self-consciousness. It got way better over the years, but still I have a lot of insecurities. So to see that people actually care for my stuff, it really gives me a lot of strength. So thank you very much for that. Spread love and hope over the world. We see us next time. Bye.